there is absolutely no way you can tell that I just run off of caffeine and vibes and I have no script when I make these videos, right? Hey y'all, it's Megan. If you are returning to my channel, welcome back, and if you're new, welcome aboard. Today we're talking about one of the worst days I had when I was working as a Disney cast member, and there weren't that many, to be fair. I've talked about some of the unpleasant things that I had happen while I was working there, whether it was just things about the Jungle Cruise, you know, like being gross, or, you know, I've had lots of guest stories about things that have happened that are just funny or unusual. So I will link some of those things down below. My Storytime playlist will be linked so that you can check any of those out that you're interested in. But for today, we're talking about something that was completely not anyone's fault. It was just kind of a bad day. So a little bit of backstory, something that's kind of important to this story is when I was in high school, between my sophomore and junior year, I took Motrin on an empty stomach for a while. Not like intentionally, there was no like abusing the pills or anything like that. It's just, I happened to have not eaten anything, and I was, you know, I'd like wake up and have a headache or whatever, and I'd take Motrin, but on an empty stomach, and Motrin is very hard. Ibuprofen, it's pretty hard on your stomach. So I did that and didn't really think anything of it, but I, over the summer, started having like pretty, not severe stomach pain, but like to me, because I have emetophobia, any kind of stomach discomfort like sends me into orbit. So I started having some issues where it was like my stomach just burned. Like it was like heartburn, but it was like my actual stomach, like the organ itself burned. I went to the doctor, found out, you know, they did endoscopy and all of that kind of stuff, and they were like, you have like a slight hiatal hernia. And I had like, I didn't have any ulcers, but they had like the beginnings where my stomach acid had eaten through the lining of my stomach, and I had gastritis. That started me on several years of tummy troubles, we'll say. I love those memes. It's like God gives his worst tummy troubles to his cutest girls or whatever. I'm like, thanks. So that continued. I started taking like omeprazole, Nexium, that kind of thing. I started taking that when I was, like I said, 16, 17 years old. And I was on it for like close to 10 years. I took it almost daily because my stomach lining was eaten away. And they were like, if you don't get the acid under control, I'm an anxious person too. That was when I was like 17. I went to do the college program when I was 19. It was my freshman year in college. So still have my cute girl tummy problems, right? Which means when I am working jacked up schedules at Disney, you know, working 3 p.m. to 11 p.m. and then the next day working 9 a.m. to, you know, 4 p.m. and then working 8 p.m. to 4 a.m. like all kinds of weird schedules. You never know when you're gonna eat. You never know what you're gonna eat, because whatever's open when you leave, IHOP, you eat that. And so I went from eating my nice home-cooked meals that my mommy prepared for me to I'm living on my own and eating like a feral raccoon. Like I'm just like fried chicken at 4 in the morning, eating, you know, fast food at any hour of the day. And fun thing about gastritis is I was given a very specific list of things not to eat, which basically boils down to you can have like white rice and banana. But it was like nothing spicy, nothing fried, nothing with chocolate, nothing with caffeine, nothing, no alcohol, no anything fun. You can't eat anything that tastes good. So I was like, okay, that's great. Not gonna do that. Have you met me? I'm not giving up chocolate. I can give up a lot of things and not giving up chocolate. I'm not following the diet I'm supposed to have. I'm not eating at normal times like a regular human being. And I'm working at Disney World in Florida in the summer. It's hot. So this day, wake up, go to work. Didn't think anything of it. I used to not eat breakfast. If I did, it was like a Little Debbie cake because, once again, feral raccoon. Y'all, is bad. Go to work, haven't eaten anything, not unusual for me. We're good. But as the shift wears on, I'm like a couple hours into the shift and I'm like, suddenly I am not feeling great. Like I am really not feeling great. You know, like when you get that like wash of heat that goes up your body and then you're sweating, but you're also like, you have a chill and you're like, am I going to be sick? Am I going to pass out? I don't know, but something is amiss. That happened to me while I was on a boat. I remember where I was. I was in front of Ginger and Smiley going towards Schweitzer Falls, named for the famous explorer, Dr. Albert Falls. Albert Falls. So I make it through the cruise just by rote memorization, just like saying the words I've practiced so many times. Thank goodness this wasn't like early in my program. So I had my spiel pretty well memorized and I could just say it without even thinking about it because my entire brain capacity was devoted to do not be sick on this boat. Do not be sick on this boat. Oh my God, what am I gonna do if I'm sick? I can't just go home, because that's the thing at Disney. If you wake up and you're like, I'm sick, you call in and you're like, hey, BT dubs, not feeling great, not gonna be there. But if you go to work and then you start feeling bad, unless something like actually happens, like you need to go to the doctor or you are like physically being ill in front of guests, then you don't get to go home. You just have to suck it up. Unless they give you an ER, which sounds bad, but it's just an early release is what they call it. They call it an ER. So I'm like, what are the odds that I can go home? They really only give those out if they are overstaffed, which never happens because people call in all the freaking time. I make it through the boat. I get off the boat. My next position was distribution, fast pass distribution, which isn't even a thing anymore. So I go over there and I'm like, oh, thank God I'm on land. I'm on land, okay. And I remember I was so queasy, lightheaded, disoriented that I just leaned up against the fast pass box like this. I was like, okay, all right, you are okay. You are okay. And I was just like, by sheer force of will, talking myself out of being sick. And I knew nothing was wrong with me. I was fine. I was dehydrated. I was not properly nourished because I hadn't eaten all day, and God knows what time this was. I have no idea. And what was the last thing I ate? I don't know. Could have been something from Steak and Shake. Could have been buffalo chicken dip that I reheated at 4 a.m. Could have been something the previous night. I don't know. Haven't eaten anything that morning. Whatever I did eat last was probably not good for me. And I'm not drinking enough water to be working in the Florida sun. Combine all of those things with the fact that Meaghan's tummy doesn't like to be a stomach anyway, and we have a very upsetting day. And I'm just sitting there panicking because I'm like, I don't want to be sick, but I also don't want to be here, and I don't know what I'm gonna do. It was very unsettling and stressful for me. Most people would probably be like, I don't feel great. That sucks. And that would be the end of the story. But for me, it was a whole panic thing. So one of my friends saw me basically praying to anything that would listen, leaned up against the fast pass distribution machine. They were like, are you okay? I'm like, maybe. I think so. I'm probably just dehydrated. So we were allowed to have water. You know, you've probably seen people with the weird like little water bottles clipped to their waists. It was supposed to just be water, but we did on occasion have Gatorades, and I think she went and got me a Gatorade. And so I drank that, and just getting some electrolytes and some fluids back in me did make me feel a little bit better. And I remember specifically what I ate because I went on my break not too long after that. It was like maybe 30 minutes later, I got my break. And so I go back to the break room, the little hut thing that was the break room for Jungle Cruise, and I pulled out a bag of dry Frosted Flakes. Something else you should know about me. I really prefer my cereal dry. I don't like it to be wet. If I do have cereal with milk on it, it needs to just be barely moistened because I don't like it soggy. But Frosted Mini Wheats, shredded wheat, Frosted Flakes, anything like that, I just eat it like granola, like just dry. So that was what I had. I went and I sat on the step in the break room, and I sat there and I just ate like one Frosted Flake at a time. I would just like put it in my mouth and let it melt. I know that's not health food, trust me, I get it. But I called my mom. I was like, Mommy, I don't feel good today, but you know what helped? Frosted Flakes. Because my mom loves dry Frosted Flakes too, like that's where I get it from. So she was like, eat your Frosted Flakes, drink some dang water, you're okay. I'm like, yes ma'am. So that was one of my worst days, which sounds not bad. Obviously, like the TLDR version is, hey, one time I worked at Disney and my tummy hurt and I didn't want to be there, but I was there, and then it got better and I went home. There is absolutely no way you can tell that I just run off of caffeine and vibes and I have no script when I make these videos, right? So that is it. That was my bad day working at Disney, and that bad day is still like a day at Disney, so it's like still better than a lot of bad days I've had at other jobs. What is the worst day that you've had at one of your jobs? And it can be something as minor as this, where you just didn't feel good one day and you couldn't leave, so you had to just kind of suck it up. So tell me what that is. And I will see you guys in my next video. Bye, y'all.